Good afternoon, Ken Long from Kansas with some true storytelling reflections from the Heart module from November 2nd, 2020. This is the fourth and concluding lesson in that module. And the top level topic was reflections on interacting with the world system. We were asked to think about a system in the world we wanted to improve through action, using the power of the heart and the tools of true storytelling. Mine happens to be on helping youth find their voice and agency in the world. And the structure of the lesson today was the strong connection between true storytelling principle number 7, reflection on the story you just created, and heart principle number 6, which was remembering our miraculous nature, which is also in the nature of a reflection or a remembrance. And I was reminded repeatedly throughout the session today that the heart is always in motion in the world. It's cycling. It is a matter of being, so it's not interaction with the world, but is the interacting with, so it's an action verb. And I was reminded of the 4 hearts that are part of that heart healing process, that discovery to the inner heart. The steps being stop in the moment, be still, let it be and accept what it is, and then act in a forward manner to make that difference in the world after you've recentered on the lessons of the heart. And we were contending in many of our stories that were shared in the breakout sessions that many of the world systems we were all focusing on seem to have this quality, that this human system creates a problem in order to offer a solution to solve it, which just might be the problem after all, and that is we have, the problem of a self-licking ice cream cone, something that exists just for itself and in perpetuity for another outside purpose. So watching for closed systems that create problems and keep you locked into that pathology. Many of the choices and options and experiences of people in their shared stories of the world as it is had to do with this tension between restraining impulses and regulating reactions. And the idea would be something like, you have this continuum of choices, and on one end you feel the compelling excitement of growing and exploring and curiosity and newness, and then on the other end the restraining impulse of slow down, reflect, the old proven traditional things, and you have this tension between those two compelling narratives. And that what we seem to be are self-regulating adaptive systems that find ways to make that adjustment and choice points and trade-offs, and throughout all of our pieces of our lives, and then integrated in who we are, and that at times that can get away from you. And if you become a victim or a reactor to these world systems, that the locus of control is worth examining. Where is the authority for this self-regulation? Is it received from outside in the form of media, persuasion, culture, tradition, reactions to impulses? Or is that locus of control within us? And can we live the way of the intentional warrior, the Dharma warrior, to live an intentional life in support of the weak and the voiceless? And at times there can be a real frustration. I see it a lot with with young people and old, but young people especially. Hey, I get it that there's these competing choices and there's multiple things we can do. Could I just get somebody to tell me how best to balance these competing drives? And we should ask, really, why should we do that, and why could we do that, and ought we to do that? And isn't that our job, that if we're going to be a self-regulating adaptive system, that the locus of control should be within ourselves, and the responsibility, authority, and consequences of action should be ours to own? Well, then how can I do that? What's my, not just my guide, but what are my tools for making these purposeful actions, these decisions that lead to action in the world? And we're reminded of the great mathematician. So that if we would move the world, we need a strong lever and a place to stand, to be grounded. And we might ask then, what are these tools of change? I submit the true storytelling principles help us connect our heart to the external action in the world in an aligned, consistent way, and that these tools that we learned from the heart are ways to become confident that we've discovered that inner self, that true voice that needs to be expressed, and that being mindful of the need for forgiveness and gratitude in all things each day in every way would certainly do us no harm when we're trying to make this purposeful action. We spent a lot of time talking about the large systems of the world being organized around the principles of addiction that takes away the locus of control from the self and puts it in that soulless external process beyond our regulation, and that it had the features of toxicity, the behavior that is organized to promote, reinforce, and maintain that addictive behavior, and that there is some deeper underlying purpose of the addiction that it satisfies. And maybe it started satisfying it early until the addictive nature of the behavior or the substance robbed us of volition and took that locus of control. This was also framed as that the addictive behavior might simply be a natural response in a search from among choices which could be lower or higher vibrations and efforts to connect with the divine, and that the vibrations you can sense and can attune to might be limited by this curtain of addiction that may stand between you and this higher calling that resonates with your inner self. The phrase that occurred to me thinking about addictions was related to the locus of control idea, that the externally regulated cyclic behavior that gets reinforced. We spent a lot of time thinking about addictions and the consequences in the world. And some inner guides of mine whose phrases resonated with me today was the idea from Buckminster Fuller that I seem to be a verb, and he took action in the world. That Marcus Aurelius, the great emperor and Stoic philosopher, the most powerful man in the world at the time, writing in his journal for his own self-development, reminding himself that it wasn't the things of the world, it was our reaction to the things in the world that we have any control over, and that was our challenge, was to be autonomous in our reactions and thoughtful and mindful and take ownership of those. Those were the things that we could do something about. And Musashi's advice to do not engage in useless activities, but engage in things that move you towards your higher purpose. We were reminded of the nature of our thoughts, like butterflies, that you can learn to let them go, that they don't have necessarily the power to compel you to go in a certain way, that when you're reflecting and being mindful, that you can stop, be still, let that thought just be what it is, and let it go its own way like a butterfly in a field, and then move on with your intentional action in the moment. And so we exchanged a lot of stories and found mutual support in our fellowship and collaborations today as we brought the heart module of true storytelling to fruition, round one. I was extraordinarily pleased and gratified to have been able to spend time with such good quality people and explore inner space in a safe yet challenging way, and to be able to give voice to thoughts lurking down there in my heart, and letting those words out into the world to see what they're like, and to clear the air, clear my heart, and to go forward. So I'll give you thanks for listening, and forgiveness of myself and all of us for the things we do in our best efforts to make a difference in the world. Let's just stop and be still a little bit. Let things be as they are, and when it's time, act forward in a way that aligns you with your heart and your ultimate purpose with trusted others. And let's get through these times and take care of each other. Thanks for your kind attention. There's my email for contact. We'll be starting the alumni true storytelling group next week for practitioners to come back and just tell us what it's like in the world with true storytelling from the heart. If you're interested, just send me a note and we'll get you hooked up. Take good care.